So how in the world are we going to feed a planet that's growing bigger every single second? It's, one of the biggest questions of our time. And the answer? Well, it might just be found in some of the smallest technology ever created. Let's get into it.
Think about this number for a second. By 2050, the UN predicts our planet will be home to almost 10 billion people. Now, to feed everyone, we're going to need to boost food production by a whopping 70%. But here's the catch. Our current farming methods are already stretching the planet to its absolute breaking point.
For decades, we've relied on an agricultural model that has, really taken a heavy toll. We're facing this incredible challenge. We have to produce way more food, but at the same time, we have to fix the environmental damage from how we've been doing it. How do you do both at once?
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with the pressures facing farming today. Then we'll dive into this nanoscale revolution, what it actually is. We'll look at how it's creating smarter fertilizers and pesticides and these amazing nanosensor networks. And finally, we've got to weigh the good against the bad.
All right, first up, the pressures on farming. To really get why we need a huge change, we have to understand the problems we're trying to solve in the first place.
And this visual really says it all. It's one of the biggest issues. When farmers use regular old fertilizers, a massive 50 to 70% of those nutrients are just lost. They never even make it to the plant. They just wash away, polluting our water, messing up our soil. It's just a colossal waste.
So we have this giant problem of waste and pollution. And this is where the nanoscale revolution steps in. It might sound a little strange, but we're looking at a tiny, tiny solution to fix these massive problems.
So what even is nanotechnology? Well, we are talking about building things on a scale that is almost impossible to imagine. A nanometer is 1/1000th of a meter. When you get down to that level, materials start acting in really unique ways, and that lets scientists build completely new tools, literally atom by atom.
And what's so cool here is you can see just how much this tech can do. It's not just one thing. Nanotechnology is branching out into every corner of farming. You've got nanofertilizers for better growth, nanopesticides for crop protection, and even nanosensors that are bringing farming into the digital age.
So with that big picture in mind, let's dive into the nitty-gritty and see how this stuff actually works. We'll start with what we call smarter farming inputs. Basically, reinventing the things we put on our fields. Think of it like this. Traditional fertilizer is like a fire hose. You just spray it everywhere and hope some of it helps. Nanofertilizers, though, are more like an IV drip. They use these tiny nanoparticles to hold on to the nutrients and release them slowly right when and where the plants need them. This cuts way, way down on waste and pollution, and you get better results with less product.
And it's the exact same idea for pesticides. Nanopesticides are designed for targeted delivery. They're like tiny guided missiles that go right for the pests, which means less harm to the good bugs, like bees, and the rest of the environment. They're more stable, you need a lot less, and they don't leave behind as much gunk in the soil.
And believe it or not, it gets even more advanced. These nanoparticles can act like tiny mail carriers, delivering genetic material straight into plant cells with incredible precision. This is opening up all kinds of doors to develop crops that are more nutritious, tougher against drought, and better at fighting off diseases.
But this revolution isn't just about what we put into the farm. It's also about the information we can get out of it. I mean, just imagine if you could know in real time exactly what your crops need. That's the whole idea behind nanosensors. These little detectors can be scattered all over a field, monitoring everything from how much water is in the soil to the very first signs of a disease.
So here's how it works, and it's pretty slick. The sensors in the field are constantly collecting super precise data. That data gets beamed wirelessly to a central computer, which maps it all out with GPS. So farmers get this detailed, live map of their entire farm, and they can make decisions based on pure data, like, okay, this corner needs water, but the rest is fine.
And the impact of all that data? It's huge. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization says this kind of precision farming can cut water use by 20 to 30%. In a world where water is getting scarcer and scarcer, that is a total game changer.
Now, all of this sounds absolutely fantastic, right? A perfect fix. But with any powerful new tech, you have to pump the brakes a little and look at the whole picture. You have to balance all that promise with the potential problems.
So we have to ask the big question. Is all this a clear-cut win, a total boon, or could there be a downside, a bane, that we're not thinking about?
On the one hand, the benefits are pretty clear. You get more crops, less pollution, better food, and you're not wasting resources. But on the other side of the ledger, there's some serious challenges. It can be expensive to produce this stuff, the rules and regulations are still trying to catch up, and maybe most importantly, we just don't know a lot about the long-term effects of putting all these nanoparticles out into the environment.
And here's where it gets really complicated. It turns out that a lot of these nanoparticles have a kind of dual nature. It's like that old saying, the dose makes the poison. For example, a little bit of a copper nanoparticle can help a plant grow, but too much of that exact same particle can actually become toxic. It's a really fine line to walk.
So let's just quickly sum it all up. Nanotechnology definitely gives us a powerful new toolkit to tackle this huge food security challenge. Smart fertilizers, smart pesticides, and all these sensors can make farming so much more sustainable. But, and it's a really big but, the science is still new. We absolutely need more research on long-term safety before this stuff goes mainstream.
Which really leaves us with this final question. We're on the edge of a new agricultural revolution, one that's driven by tech that's literally too small to see. The promise is incredible, but the stakes are just as high. So will we find the right balance to make sure these tiny tools can safely solve our planet's biggest problems?